Hey guys, how are you doing? So, for those who don't know me, I am Yoko, a Japanese living in Japan, and today I have a question for you guys, especially American people, because it's about Bernie Sanders. So, I saw the news of the old picture of Bernie Sanders getting arrested when he was young, and also I saw the news such as this article titled, "Sanders Once Urged Abolishing CIA." So my question is, I hope that you guys have read both of the news, but if you haven't, please check them out. My question is, what did you guys think of the news? Because I'm really curious. Because this Japanese right here has to say that she is very, very overwhelmed in a bad way to see the people in the United States are praising him for his arrest, saying that he has been fighting for civil rights for decades. It's probably because I am Japanese, but both Bernie Sanders and the American citizens that are praising him scare me so much. Like, they're so scary to me. As for his comment on CIA, I thought like, wow, this person is a real commie. Like, I even had to think to myself, like, he's a real commie, yes, he's a real commie. All the Bernie Sanders saying is surely communism, so one the real communist, please stand up, please stand up, please stand up. You know, Eminem is really famous here. Anyways, there are several reasons why I felt this way, so in this video I am going to show them to you. Let's look at his CIA comment first. According to Politico, Bernie Sanders told an audience in Vermont in October 1974 that CIA is a dangerous institution that has to go. And I'm like, dangerous for who? Communists! What I think Bernie Sanders needs to consider is what CIA has actually protected American people from. As many of you probably know, around the time of his comments, the US was working very hard for being anti-communism, which I admire, by the way. The American attitude shows that the US had learned the threat of communism from history, probably from before and after the World War II, because, you know, the world created, like we all created China, current China, under the Communist Party. And also the US probably learned a lot from the Korean War and whatnot. So anyways, what I mean is the CIA contributed so much for the anti-communist movement in order to protect the US and the rest of the world from, you know, communism. And when the institution was on such a move, Bernie Sanders said that CIA is dangerous and it has to go. Like, is it just me? But it sounds nothing but he's saying that he's a communist. Because how would CIA be dangerous otherwise, considering their purpose, which is anti-communism? And what would he have done instead for the threat? Speaking of which, it makes me wonder what he thinks of KGB history. I mean, there's nothing that I'm trying to say here, but I am just frankly curious. Now let me talk about the things related to his arrest. Looking at him being arrested, I instantly associated something here in Japan. I personally don't get a positive impression of left-wing political movements, especially when it's done by college students, like Bernie Sanders was when he was arrested. I could say that my impression had been pre-made by the very well-known left-wing student movement in my country in the past. In Japan, I hear that before the World War II, there were already some political student movements which were largely influenced by socialism and Marxism. But what's widely known today as the student movement here is the one which started around the 60s, meaning that it is around the same time as Bernie Sanders' arrest, which is interesting. Around that time, college students in many places in Japan took on a massive political movement. Their aim was actually to oppose to the security treaty revision with the US. They insisted mostly that teaming up with the United States better would drive Japan into wars and that our self-defense force would turn evil and things like that. Those students were also protesting against racism, wars, college free race, etc. And yes, Bernie Sanders is insisting identical things as them. And I don't think it's a coincidence. It must mean that they are the same type of people under the same kind of influence, meaning that it's more natural to consider Bernie Sanders as a communist than a democratic socialist or whatsoever that he's made up. Actually, to be honest with you, I shouldn't talk too much about those movements because those students here were very, very violent, as everybody knows. Sometimes killing those who oppose to them, or sometimes just each other, like within the same group. And it's not a surprise that they are called radicals here, and a lot of them got arrested just like Bernie Sanders got arrested, and they get arrested even today after decades. What I'm trying to say here is that I guess Bernie Sanders did insist the civil rights, but so did our leftists who were beyond aggressive and who were injuring people. Just because someone picks a topic and shows a suggestion that sounds nice doesn't mean that they are nice, you know what I mean? By the way, when I call Bernie Sanders a communist, liberal people tell me to study the difference between socialism and communism. And you know what? I think I've studied enough to know the basic idea. What I've learned, for example, is the tactics of the Japanese Communist Party. It's embarrassing to tell you guys this, but in my country, we have the Japanese Communist Party. And it was actually the Japanese branch of Comintern. And it's not like conspiracy, because they admit it, like it's written on their official website. They just say that they've changed since then and things like that. But anyways, I checked the party platform of the Japanese Communist Party. And it says that they will first make a democratic revolution for socialism, just like Bernie Sanders is saying, and then they will make another revolution for communism. Yeah, there are 2 steps, people. And with that knowledge in my head, I hear Bernie Sanders insisting over and over again that he wants to make a political revolution, and that scares me so much. Like, that scares me how openly he shouts that, you know? Because to me it looks like nothing but a strategic communist running for the presidential campaign of the United States. It's like a nightmare. It's like Bernie Sanders is saying that, oh, we the people are so stupid that I can openly show my communist strategy and they will never know because they don't teach that in school. Revolution, or something like that. So my point is that I can't help but feeling that he is looking down on the American citizens. Since I love America, I don't feel good about it. In addition to that, we have to consider what happened in history. It seems that Lenin said once that the goal of socialism is communism. And as the Venona paper shows, the American liberals were tricked and deceived by Comintern before the World War II. And those papers are the official American documents revealed in 1995 by NSA after the Cold War. So the thing about Comintern is no longer a conspiracy. So it's a proven history. So if American people are believing Bernie Sanders as a democratic socialist just because of what he calls himself, I'd like to tell American people not to repeat the dark history of being deceived. Don't swallow the lies of those communists, because you always have to see beyond the verbal things in politics. Also, I hear that it's mostly young people in the US that are supporting Bernie Sanders. And I think that the phenomenon is happening because those young people never witnessed the Cold War or the Tiananmen Square massacre or the Soviet Union collapsing and many other communism-related news. Like, they just can't imagine like the threat of communism and how it doesn't work and the problem of communism and things like that, because they've never witnessed that in their lives. I want you to think about something now. Isn't it scary that without people like Mr. Trump and his supporters, which I hope is a majority, the US might have fallen to communism, as the young people are buying the things that the communists are saying, like those lies. And it's okay for now, but young people just don't know, and it's really scary. And I say this because it's the same here in Japan. There's this youth group named SEALs in Japan, and yeah, I can't believe how disrespectfully they chose the name to sound exactly like the US Navy SEALs. I'm sorry for that. They're working for Communist Party here. They deny the connection, but the democratic revolution that they insist, the English signs and political phrases that they use, it's all communism. And I don't think all students are aware of what they put themselves into, because they probably believe that they're doing something good because they're just trapped. And when I look at Europe, I can see red youth, which seeks for Marxism-Leninism, is insisting the same as students here, for example. It is scary to see communists having an international network, which makes me think that sane people, like, I don't know if that makes you conservative or not, but sane people in the world have to unite to oppose to that, I think. So to summarize this video, I will comment on communism and socialism in general. Communism, in simple words, would be if you slaughter all the rich people, or if you steal all the money that they make, the world will be a better place or be peaceful. Like, how stupid is that? Communism is not gonna work. It never has worked. Soviet Union has collapsed. China, they are still oppressing and killing people even outside of their country. So I hope that people will keep that in mind. And as for socialism, Bernie Sanders only talks about Denmark and whatnot, but why is it that he ignores North Korea, for example, where whoever that opposes to the leader gets killed, even relatives? Also, no offense to Denmark, but Denmark is a tiny nation compared to the US. So what makes people think that the US will be like the country too? If Bernie Sanders can't make a fair argument in history and the world today, he is either A, dumb, or B, he is dishonest to his own people, like he's not truthful and he's lying to you guys. Oh well, that is just what a foreigner thinks, so it's okay if you don't agree with me. I just hope that Bernie Sanders supporters are not blinded by the present and that they are actually seeing a big worldwide picture considering the history. I just don't want to see those communists taking the advantage of nice people, And I also don't want you to be their tool. If you couldn't tell by my supposedly American accent, I love America. And my country also actually kind of depends on America, so it has to be good for us too, Oh, before I go, if I get killed or get hospitalized after this video all of a sudden, you know what to think. Yeah, just putting it out there. Anyways, I'm really wishing the best for our friend America. So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your encouragement to Trump supporters. You guys are so nice. I'm touched. So, thank you so much. I will see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye!